Okay, so I'm going to guess if you've seen the title of this video, you're going to figure out quite quickly what the idea was. But the idea was that I wanted to take the Fractal FM9. This is the same model that would be in the FM3 or the X-Spec, so kind of the learnings from this would apply to any of them. And I wanted to put the Lonestar in through the FM9. I'm loading the Lonestar down with the Fractal load box, and then put it all through the same cab and switch between the two and see if I could kind of get them sounding close. There's a Fractal video from Cliff and the team which says if the knobs are in the same place it sounds the same. Well, that's kind of like the main tagline of the video. And I think you'll probably agree from that kind of stuff that it's certainly close, and for me I feel like that's close enough. And the question for me is not necessarily any longer, you know, should I go digital versus real amp. The question for me now is how do I get this digital stuff sounding better at like a gig volume, because the main difference, as I can tell, you know, from this stuff, if you use the same preamp through the same speaker in the way that we have done here, so like the model of the Lonestar or the real Lonestar, they're pretty close through studio monitors. So what I think that means to me is that a lot of what is different between the feel of modelling stuff and some of these aspects is more to do with how we are amplifying them live. You know, the Lonestar is a 37 kilogram amp, 2x12, you know, very thick wood, very heavy amp. Quite a lot of what I think is cool about the Lonestar must be that physicality of the cab. Once you start putting it through studio speakers like this, it starts to sound a lot more like what the modelling versions of it are like to me, which in a lot of cases when you hear them kind of just through studio monitors is kind of like sort of dull-ish in some ways, which is not at all the same as what you get in the room with a real Lonestar. Anyway, so I think that's something worth saying. I think, so let me know if you can hear big differences between them. So this, that's the model. And that's the amp. The main differences that I end up hearing is that the signal of the model is clearer, because I don't think Fractal model kind of those thermal noise things and stuff that you get with a real amp. So, you know, there's things in the real signal and like a noise floor. And then the other thing is that there's definitely slightly more full low end with the real Lonestar, even though I've kind of given the settings in the Fractal like a bit of a kick in the bass end, so that bass knob is up a bit further in the Fractal world than it is on the real Lonestar, and there's still definitely like more woofiness to the Lonestar, I'd say, the real amp, which the other thing that I think happens is you can sometimes it's like a more glassy thing going on with the Lonestar. So sometimes you get, if you play really hard, it gets quite thin in the top end in a way. But at the same time, when you play it softer, I feel like it's like slightly rounder. So I don't know if that's just me. amp, Fractal, and when we use a looper to get rid of some of those kind of differences, so I think certainly super close in my opinion. Then when we start to introduce drive, I think that's where you can start to again hear some of these differences. So I've introduced like a Timmy, Jan Ray, sorry, so that's the real amp. Then the model. And if anything, that kind of woofiness is even more pronounced now with a bit of drive. So here's the model. Amp. So that's the amp. 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 Model. Amp. Model. Amp. I also feel like that amp kind of has a bit more of an envelope to it, like something is changing over time. Model. But yeah, super close. Let me know if you can pick the two of them out from that kind of intro playing. But yeah, I think the more interesting conundrum for me at this point is like, how can I get these things to sound as good as I can get them sounding in the studio, and as close as it is, the experience of still playing with a modeler live to me is not quite the same as with an amp. In some ways it's better, I don't have some of that low end woofiness which then can take over and make me play way softer. And also, some notes overwhelm others, when you dig in a bit and you go, oh, that was way louder than I was expecting. That kind of headroom thing. In some ways, smaller headroom can be an optimal thing depending on your style of playing. So anyway, was that close to you? I've done something similar in the Helix world, like again that was super close. I checked back this morning just to check whether either of them stood out, and honestly both sounded super close to the actual clean amp. So that's that video. Hopefully you're having a good Christmas break. I know I am. I'll catch you in another video soon. Cheers!